more we can expect later on today. Haley.
Good morning. Yeah, Maduro is being arraigned on charges tied to narco-terrorism, drugs, and weapons. Now, he is accused, and his wife and 4 others are accused of running a criminal enterprise focused on moving cocaine into the U.S. So right now, this is a 4-count indictment, and those charges specifically include narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. Now, Maduro and his wife, they have been in New York since Saturday, and that's when federal officials transported them after their capture during Operation Absolute Reserve. White House officials, they say this was a complex mission that involved months of planning and tracking the Venezuelan president. Now, in this video obtained by Fox News, you can see Maduro in custody after he was processed at the DEA headquarters. Now, across the world and here in the U.S., many Venezuelans, they're celebrating Maduro's capture, and now they have hope for the future in the homeland. However, yesterday, there were some protests here at MDC where some people called for authorities to release him because of how Maduro was removed from power. Let's take a listen to what President Trump said on Air Force One last night and what a criminal defense attorney anticipates we'll see in court today.
They're going through a slog of a trial. The judge is very respected. Judge Ellerstein is a highly respected judge. We'll see how we do. The case is infallible. The people are so happy with what we've done.
We could expect there to be a bail detention hearing, which the government will almost surely be seeking remand, and they will almost surely get remand on the fact that he's not a U.S. citizen, doesn't have any abode here in the United States. He obviously was brought here under much fanfare after this invasion that occurred over the weekend. So I expect the judge to remand him to the MDC unless the Bureau of Prisons says for some reason that they would be unable to keep him at the MDC pending the trial in this case.
Now, Maduro is set to face a judge at noon today. Live in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, back to you.
Haley, so over the weekend, we saw a lot of protesters, as you mentioned, just outside of that Brooklyn detention center. What is the scene looking like at this moment? It seems to be a little more calm, a bit more tame.
It's a lot more calm. You know what? Anyone who's here is media, and then we have seen some military members and, of course, police officers, but no protesters are here this morning.
Haley Fixler with our team at Good Day New York. We appreciate your time, and we'll check in soon. All right, moving on here, though, to several of those live images. Again, Maduro is expected to appear in that federal courtroom in downtown Manhattan here. So you can see that we have some security officials, some law enforcement officials just outside of those doors. And also, we still continue to have that aerial image from helicopters that are keeping track of all of those vehicles there in the scene. So a lot of traffic may be expected later on today, specifically when it comes to downtown Manhattan. Now, again, as the criminal defendant in a U.S. legal system, Maduro will have the same rights as any other person accused of a crime, including the right to a trial by a jury of regular New Yorkers. Maduro's lawyers, they are expected to contest the legality of his arrest, arguing that he is immune from prosecution as a sovereign head of state. Panamanian strongman Manuel Noriega was unsuccessfully tried. Well, he unsuccessfully tried the same defense after the U.S. captured him in a similar military invasion back in 1990. That's something we touched on with our expert Ken Gray just a few minutes ago. So we have seen similar cases in the past. It remains to be seen how this is going to play out today, but in a similar fashion there, the U.S. does not recognize Maduro as Venezuela's legitimate head of state, particularly after that much disputed 2024 election. Venezuela's new interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has demanded that the U.S. return Maduro, who long denied any involvement in drug trafficking. Although late on Sunday, she also struck a more conciliatory tone in a social media post, inviting collaboration with President Trump and, quote, respectful relations with the U.S. That's according to some of the reporting that we have with the Associated Press. I would just want to bring us back out to the images that we have outside of that Manhattan courthouse. I'm going to lift up the audio just briefly here so we can listen in.
Yeah. should have worn better shoes.
So as you can see, not much going on there. I was thinking that perhaps there could be some chanting and stuff over the weekend, as I had spoke about with Haley. There were some protesters there outside of the Brooklyn Detention Center protesting Nicolas Maduro, his regime, but also several people across the country and across the world are also protesting the way that all of this went down. Taking us back out to another image that we have here, trying to see, I do believe that could be Nicolas Maduro that you see being led back there, but we're not entirely sure. This camera is really far, so we're just going to keep this live image up here on your screen. But there you can see that military members, law enforcement agents are directing what looks to be ousted Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Yes, he is on his way there to the New York City courtroom, and that does appear to be him. He is going to be lifted into that helicopter that is there stationed at the prison, where he will be appearing before a judge at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon today. Cameras are not allowed inside the courtroom, but as you just saw, reporters are there standing by to let us know what happened inside. Now, before his capture, Maduro and his allies claimed U.S. hostility was motivated by lust for Venezuela's rich oil and mineral resources. This I'm also attributing to reporting courtesy of the Associated Press. The U.S. seized Maduro and his wife in a military operation on Saturday, capturing them in their home on a military base. President Trump said the U.S. would, quote, run Venezuela temporarily, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Sunday that it would not govern the country day to day other than enforcing an existing oil quarantine. I'm going to keep this live image here on your screen because we don't want to miss a moment, at least until the helicopter takes off here, with what appeared to be Nicolas Maduro stepping inside, escorted by several agents there just outside of the Brooklyn Detention Center. President Trump